Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to PBTV. We've got a bit of a platform showcase today. We are going to be looking at the M4 platform in general. If you have any questions about it at all or any queries, just drop them down below. But first, let's have a look at what we've got in store for this video. So welcome back. So we're going to have a bit of a deep dive into the M4 platform in general. We've got a few examples, but if you've got any questions about it at all, versatility, choices, where to start with, where to go, anything at all, just drop it down below. It's always good to have a little chat, and we'll flash it up on the screen and have a discussion about what you want to have a discussion about. So the first thing we've got here is one of the entry-level Lancers. I've got another one down here, but the main reason for this is a lot of people look at the M4 as their first platform that they want, but they may not be able to find the right one. So what is a really, really good option is to get something similar to just a bog standard M4A1. So this is the M993 Commando from Lancer, and as you can see, it's just got the little plastic front end, a pretty basic stock, and the rear sight and the carry handle. Some people might not like that, but the rear sight, air post, and the clockwise thread. Comes with a high cap, and this is your perfect sort of starting platform. It gives you that option to be able to pick whatever rail you want down the line, pick a different stock, pick a different optic, and just build it from your point of view rather than trying to find the exact one. And that is the great thing about the M4 platform. It is incredibly modular. It gives you absolute freedom, and you can just pretty much do whatever you want with it. So this one in particular, like I said, it does have the plastic heat shield handguard on the front. You can get bits to attach to this. So again, when you do start out, don't think you have to pile everything into it and get everything all at once. Just get one bit at a time, and then you can add a bit of rail to it, change the stock, add an optic down the line. There is nothing wrong with just starting, going super basic, and just sticking something like this. And to be honest, I mean, there are plenty of loadouts out there that would love something like this. If you wanted to go a bit sort of 80s, you could just sit with this, run it as is, throw a sling on it, and have a hell of a time. So most M4s have what is referred to as a version 2 gearbox in the sort of beating heart of it. What we mean by that is the version of a gearbox is not its level of incarnations. So a version 3 is not better than a version 2. It is just a name variant. So M4s are a version 2, something like an AK is a version 3, and so on and so on. So each different platform has a different version of a standard AEG gearbox. So when you're looking at parts or anything, Mosfets, for something like an M4 like this, just make sure it is version 2 compatible. Hops, barrels, and everything like that are very, very much a universal part, so I won't worry too much about that. So if you're looking for something to start as a introductory piece, this is something where we look sort of the standard M4A1 and then look at other parts down the line to make it a bit more unique and a bit more you. So if we then move on to something that already has a few bits on it, we did cover this earlier in the week, but this is the Newport Delta Pioneer. As you can see off the bat, there are a few glaring differences with it. Obviously, it is still a polymer build, so budget friendly, but it's had some of the options already thrown on it. So you do have this quad rail on the front rather than the plastic handguard on the M933. So this gives you the ability to add accessories, either grips, pec boxes, torches, anything like that can go on the front. Optics, again, will still sit on the back on the top of the receiver, or this one in particular does have a riser on it. Again, versatility, adjustability, and adaptivity are the things that the M4 give you. You just have absolute freedom with accessories, components, anything like that. And because it is such a popular platform, pretty much every single airsoft brand has done one. So if you haven't had an M4 or you've had a very good experience with a certain brand, 9 times out of 10 you will be able to get an M4 from them, and most of the external parts are very much transferable between each one. Some, maybe not slightly. If you go between a gas blowback and an AEG, there might be some slight differences, but in the long run, you can pretty much do what you want with them. So again, the Pioneer, 40 mil counterclockwise on the front, you do have the quad rail, and you do have the top rail as well. As you can see at the back, along with most M4s, we do have a slight variant down here that we'll come to, but they all have sliding and adjustable stocks. Normally about 6 positions. That makes it a bit more comfortable depending on your size, arm length, anything like that. Just adjusting this makes sure you can get a very, very good cheek weld and a decent sight picture down the optics. So, coming from the Delta Pioneer, and also, obviously you can see this is tan, so most M4s will come in various different colours. If it's, Flynn on YouTube, is the M4 the most customizable platform you can get? Short answer, probably yes. Backed up very, very, very closely with the AK Aura version 3 system. Purely because most airsoft brands will start out with an M4. Most accessories are for M4. And with it being such a popular real steel platform, it's the most common one that you will see. It does give you an absolute astronomical amount of customization with rails, stocks, optics, receivers, magazines, triggers. Absolutely everything on it can be exactly how you want it. And yeah, even magazines are a sort of a choice in themselves, whether it's Stanag, PMag, anything like that. And across most M4s, the magazines will be compatible as long as it doesn't have a specific system like a recoil system, a bolt stop system. If it is a standard version 2 gearbox with a hop unit, 99% of M4 magazines will fit and be compatible. Sam, do you prefer M4 or AK? It's a bit of a broad question, really. Purely because of the customization of the M4, you can very, very, very quickly make it personalized than yours. My current build is probably one of my favorite that I've ever done, and that is an M4, but I have seen some very, very nice AKs, and I've always been tempted to go to the dark side a little bit. Steve on Facebook. I never understood the attraction to the M4 when I began. Now, currently on 3, they're just a great platform for customization. Exactly. It's one of them things. It's like a fine wine. People that don't drink wine, it's probably because they've not found the right one, if that makes sense. So, you may not like this one, but there will be one down the line. It might have a slightly different rail, a different stock, anything like that. That these things are so customizable and so versatile, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to find one that you like, or in a setup that you like as well. It might even be a case of not liking this type of stock. You want something a bit thinner. That's totally doable as well. As you can see with this one, we have flip-up sights on this. And these ones are locked in place. Some of them you have to physically move up and down. These ones, you simply press and they're up and ready to go. You can see there is a slight difference in the quad rail on this one. It doesn't have the bridge, and that gives you a much flatter profile on the top. If you can get a decent enough cheek weld, you don't need your optic really, really high. So again, it's another option that these give you, being able to have your optic really low down and a nice clean sight picture. Also, obviously not on this one. This one is right-handed dominant, but there are many, many options for M4s to be ambidextrous. So the fire control on this one is just on the left-hand side, meaning you have safe, semi, and full auto. There are some which will have it on this side, making it a very, very good platform for people that have, if you're left-handed, you can swap it over and do everything like that. So coming to the front, again, we do have a front drop-down sight, and again, it flicks up, and we're good to go. Obviously, we do have the accessory on the front of here. This is obviously over a 40mm counterclockwise thread. So again, these will fit on 99% of the M4 style platforms. Receivers, rails, and everything like that. The few that I've shown you so far have been polymer. Again, it's a budget-friendly thing. The difference between polymer and metal, I've said it many, many times. There are pros and cons for both. There is not one that is better than the other, in my opinion. They both have very, very good places. It's very, very similar to the argument of mid-caps versus high-caps. They both have pros and cons, and they both have a place in airsoft, and they are both very, very useful. For example, if you're just starting out and you don't want to budget in for 5 or 6 mid-caps, you could get yourself high-cap, and it lets you enter the sport in a much, much easier way. And again, with M4 the platform, the M4 platform itself, mid caps, high caps, mega mags, 700 round, box mags. The choices are endless with it, even with magazines, rails, stocks, absolutely everything. So coming on from the Sneaky Boy, we'll come on to something slightly different, which is the Evolution. So again, this is when we're getting a bit more spicy, we'll say, with certain attachments. So as you can see, this is where we're starting to go with the M4 platform, and you can do various different things with it. You can even see there's a slight skeletonization to the receiver, making it look very unique, very cool. And obviously in this one, we have M-Lock instead of RIS. That's not a thing that's fixed to M4s. You can get that on AKs, you can get it on SIGs, and everything like that. It is simply a RIS alternative. There is M-Lock, key mod, there's a few proprietary ones that you just screw bits into, but again, it all comes down to personal preference. You can get accessories that will bolt straight onto M-Lock. If you haven't got them, you can simply get a grip and that will lock in there. The Ghost itself, the Ghost EMR does have the 40mm, so again, accessories just drop straight on the front, very, very simply, and it means that you can have tracer units, sound hogs, different flash hiders, absolutely everything. And there's nothing more cool than throwing a tracer unit on the front of here, glow-in-the-dark BBs in your mag, and shooting what look like laser beams everywhere. It's a hell of a lot of fun. So as you can see, very, very different to the other few that we've looked at. This is an extremely short platform. So this is probably designed much, much more for CQB. A long platform in CQB is not a bad choice. It's just because that will give you options if you've got a sight that is CQB and outdoor. You've got the larger barrel, you've got a bit more accuracy, whereas cutting through doorways, corridors, and everything like that, a short platform just gives you the ability to slice the pie or come around the corner at a much more acute angle and probably see the enemy player before he sees you and get that nice first shot off. When it comes to Mosfets and other bits and bats like that for M4s, again, as I was saying earlier, the M4 is a version 2 gearbox, and the Ghost itself does have its own electric trigger unit, so a MOSFET style thing. So what that means is the actual trigger itself is on a micro switch. So originally it used to be metal on metal contacts, but in the modern era and everything like that, with computing, microchips and everything, we can have a switch in there instead. What that means is you can get a much more direct signal of power from your battery to the motor, to the gears at a much faster rate with less wasted power, less draw, less resistance, and you're going to get more power out of your battery, you're going to have a much faster trigger response, and you get much cleaner gear rotation and therefore a nice shot. So this is the Ghost EMR CQB. Again, the M4 platform in general, from what we've seen before with the quad rails and the big long barrels and everything, these are just a little CQB. And again, you can see at the back, we have a much narrower stock. So this one, your battery is going to fit into your stock tube. Most of the time, that's where your battery is. Some of them, it will be in the front. It just gives you a much sleeker, nicer, thinner profile and a bit more of an option depending what you want to do. Again, can say it 1,000 times, but the M4 is just so amazingly customizable. You can make it yours. You can make it very unique. They are probably the most used platform on an airsoft field. So when you go there, they're going to be absolutely everywhere. But you have the opportunity to, even with the most common platform on the field, to make it yours, unique, and very, very individual. So another one that we will look at that will be very much up the street for some people is going even further down that CQB route with the ARP556. So again, we've looked at this before, but I couldn't not bring it out. There's the, obviously you have the 556 variant. Again, there is then the 9mm variant. You've got this PDW style stock, which gives you, again, a super compact platform. So you can see the difference between what we were looking at the start and then what we've ended up at here. Again, all these parts, so the rail would probably go on most of the other ones that we've looked at, the iron sights, the flash hider, the stock, all swappable, so you can change it around as much as you want. But looking at this one, you can start to see some of the ambidextrous controls. So as I move the fire selector, you can see that one move on your side. And what that means is if I was left-handed, I do have access with my thumb on this side. Again, mag release, that is there. There is also one on this side. The only one that isn't ambidextrous is the bolt hold open or the forward. And again, airsoft, it's not really a control that's necessary to be ambidextrous because it's not one that you have to use all the time, obviously because the bolt cover is going to stay closed. So, having a look behind here, again, this is something that's going to be on pretty much all M4s, is behind here is where you will find your hop unit. On this one, it's a rotary. On some, you will find a gear style. Pros and cons between each one. Again, the rotary is becoming the more preferred because once it is set in place, and it's very, very difficult for it to move during gameplay. The old gear style ones and slider style ones with a BB passing through it and the sort of motion and the vibrations through the platform, they can judder and slightly adjust, meaning you'll have to reset it. The rotary one, once it's set, it's set. It is an amazing design and a very, very good hop. What we mean by hop is in the chamber here, we do have a little bit of rubber that wraps around the end of the barrel in sort of very basic terms. That puts a little bit of downward pressure onto the top of the BB, and when a BB flies through it, puts backspin on it. If you have backspin on a BB, it wants to lift up. So if you have no hop on, you'll see the BB come out and just drop away very, very quickly, maybe 15 to 20 meters, if that. Once you've set your hop, you'll see it glide very nicely and very gracefully off into the distance. If you put too much on, it's putting too much spin on it, and basically, again, 20 meters out of your barrel, it will be going vertical. So again, if you don't know what you're doing with your hop, there are loads of people on site at most Airsoft sites. Just say, how do I set my hop? And most Airsoft players will quite happily come along and help you. And again, same with high caps, anything like that. And again, even with the hop up itself in the M4 platform, there are loads and loads of choices for your hop system as well. Whether or not you're wanting a CNC one, a tracer hop, a metal hop, a plastic hop, a rotary, a gear, anything like that, the options are endless. And that's, I think, pretty much why we all love the M4 platform. Paul, Mr. Beginning, what make was the first M4? Does the carry handle come off? So I'll grab the Lancer again. So the Lancer down here. So again, we'll go back to the beginning. So this is the Lancer Tactical M993 Commando. A lot of the time with older platforms, the carry handle is fixed in place. For example, M16s and things like that, it is part of the receiver. But on this one, you have a couple of not quick release, but dials on this side. Simply unscrew them, and try and do it quickly. It does simply come off. And what you find underneath it, again, a little bit of Riz. So that does come off. You can put a dot sight and anything like that on there, and you are good to go. Again, I've said this before as well, if you do have an optic on here, again, a lot of people think this sight post is going to get in the way. With an optic here, this pretty much blurs out and you can't see it anywhere. And what it does allow you to do is to co-witness. For example, if your dot sight dies, you run out of batteries, it gets shot, and the battery and the dot stops working, you can still use the optic and this pin to create a makeshift sight and still run around and have a little bit of fun. So I'll quickly do a couple of bits left. If there are any final questions, please drop them up. Oh, we've got them coming in now. Lazy Dad Airsoft, which M4 GBB would you recommend? Thinking of dipping my toe. I have two personal favourites, and that is probably the KWA and the MWS. The MWS is highly, highly, highly efficient, and again, there are an absolute incredible amount of aftermarket parts for it, upgrades, changes, bolts, receivers, stocks, collapsing stocks, converting it to 9mm, everything like that is available, but I kind of slightly prefer the recoil and the weight of the PTS. Maybe even dipping all the way into the 308 one, the Matten. So I think that would be, I'd be very, very much torn between which one I'd go for. I currently have an MWS, but it's not in an M4 platform. So if you're wanting an M4, MWS for efficiency, KWA for PTS for fun, we'll say. Sean on Facebook, just want to say Patrol Base, great customer service. Thank you very much. It's always good to hear that the guys down there are appreciated. They do stress quite a lot, making sure that they can get everyone's orders out, any problem that you have solved as quickly as possible. The best way to do that is to call them. If you're having dramas with emails or anything like that, just try and call them. It is the best way. They will do everything possible to try and to get you up and running. Shane on YouTube. Hi Stu, what M4 platform do you currently run? So I'm currently running a PTW, so a Systema build as my primary. that was built from scratch. So, say a Fortis rail, a CTR stock, and everything like that. I also have a Salient AEG that was built by one of our old techs that has a gate build in it. I also have Mod 1, gas blowback, and things like that. But my primary that I like to take to every single game day is the PTW because it throws BBs really, really far, and I very much enjoy it. Flynn, can we get a Stu loadout video soon? If you want a loadout video, we will do a loadout video, and I'll come all dressed up for you, and we'll talk about what I wear in a game. But yeah, we might even do that tomorrow before Friday, because I am going out this weekend, so I need to make sure all my kit fits properly. So we'll probably try and do a loadout video tomorrow if that's what you want to see. But if that's everything for today, it's always great to speak to you. I love it when people engage and have a good time. This is the M4 platform, so going anywhere from the bog standard M4A1 all the way through to something like this with all the bells and whistles on it, with the M-lock, collapsing stock, folding iron sights, ambidextrous controls, and everything. It just shows that all of this is doable, and you can make what is essentially the most common platform in an airsoft field very, very personal and unique. And I very, very, very much enjoy the M4. It has been my go-to platform for a long, long time. But if that's everything, it's always great to speak to you. We'll be back again tomorrow about 4 PM, probably doing a loadout video by the sounds of it. But until then, I'll see you in a bit.